Welcome to the Explainer. So today we are stepping into a very dark, incredibly analytical exploration of a supernatural chain of events. We're going to really dive into this because today we are breaking down the sheer mechanics of karmic retribution. We're looking at a chilling case study drawn directly from our source material that explores jealousy, black magic, and a terrifying concept known as the boomerang effect. If you've ever wondered how a seemingly normal, everyday human emotion can escalate into total, utter destruction, well, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Section 1. A painful and horrific end, the price of darkness. I want to plunge you straight into the absolute height of this horror. Picture this. A mother, Vimla, is standing helplessly in a bedroom. She pulls back the bedsheets, and what she finds, it's just completely unrecognizable as her daughter, Anshika. Her body literally looks like a mere wooden frame. Her eyes are sunken so deep into her skull, and all the color has just entirely drained from her skin. Horrifyingly, she's slowly rotting alive. Her flesh is literally being eaten away by insects, and her body is constantly seeping blood onto the sheets. It's so agonizing that she actually utters these heartbreaking words to her mother. "Mother, if you truly want my happiness, kill me." Just think about that for a second. Think about the sheer level of suffering required for someone to actually beg their own mother to end their life. And the craziest part? Every single medical professional, even the absolute top doctors the family consulted, have completely thrown their hands up. They're just apologizing because they are utterly baffled and totally helpless against this incredibly rapid decay. So the crucial question we really have to ask ourselves as analytical learners here is this. How did a normal, happy girl reach this terrifying end, right? What could possibly cause a human body to deteriorate in such a gruesome, completely inexplicable way? To understand the mechanics of this nightmare, we really need to hit the rewind button. We have to dissect the psychological snap and the subsequent supernatural events that triggered this whole horrific chain reaction. So let's trace it back to the very beginning. Section 2. The fire of jealousy. The origin of hatred. You know what's truly fascinating and honestly terrifying about this case study? The root of this profound horror wasn't supernatural at all. It was intensely, undeniably human. According to the narrative, it started on what was supposed to be a completely normal, even joyous day for the family. It was a day involving a traditional marriage proposal for Anshika. But as we'll see, human emotion left unchecked can be a really dangerous catalyst. This is where the psychological fracture happens. Anshika is brutally rejected by the visiting matchmakers, specifically because they just don't find her attractive enough. But the real twist that seals her fate? Her cousin Rashi walks into the room. Now, Rashi is described as having this flawless, almost nymph-like beauty, and the matchmakers instantly pivot. They choose her for their son instead. And to make matters infinitely worse, Rashi doesn't show even an ounce of empathy. Instead, she cruelly mocks Anshika in private, literally telling her she should have looked in the mirror before stepping in front of the suitors. That single vicious sentence, it ignited an unforgiving, incredibly malicious jealousy in Anshika's mind. Section 3. The terrifying rocked beach ritual. Summoning the uncontrollable. All right, so driven by pure, unadulterated rage and humiliation, Anshika makes a deliberate descent into black magic. She heads out to a desolate, burning cremation ground far from her home. She isn't just angry anymore, she is methodical, and she is looking for total annihilation. The specific mechanics of the dark arts she used here are terrifying. Anshika deliberately waited for Amavasya, which is the new moon night. In the lore of the source material, this is a time when dark rituals reach their absolute peak power. There, over a burning fire, she sacrificed a rooster and summoned what is called Rocked Beach. This is a highly destructive dark entity summoned explicitly for the purpose of revenge. Anshika gave this summoned force a direct, incredibly gruesome order: destroy Rashi's beauty, strip away her pride, and make her suffer so much that she literally begs for death. Section 4. Rashi's agonizing torment. The curse takes hold. Okay, we are about to map out a rapid, chilling physical deterioration that completely defied all medical science and logic. It really shows just how effectively the source material portrays the physical manifestation of a psychological curse. The progression is remarkably systematic. Let's look at the timeline. By days 1 to 3, Rashi experiences this sudden, completely inexplicable illness. She's complaining that her body feels like it's been brutally beaten. Fast forward to week 1, and we see drastic weight loss. She basically becomes a skeletal frame, her eyes bulging out, losing like half her body weight. By week 2, the absolute horror sets in. Her flesh actually begins to rot alive in her bed, breeding insects that gnaw at her open wounds. And finally, she meets her death on the exact night of the next Amavasya. Throughout this entire horrifying timeline, the top doctors were just completely baffled, totally unable to stop the decay. And meanwhile, Anshika spent quietly in the doorway, just watching this horrific decay with a hidden, twisted joy. So, as that next new moon approached, Rashi reached her terrifying end. Bedridden, surrounded by her own blood and the insects consuming her flesh, she actually hallucinates a dark figure entering her room. She utters this chilling realization to her horrified mother, saying, "He has come to take me." And on the exact night of Amavasya, the entity claims her life. The revenge mission, it seemed, was a complete and utter success. Section 5. The horrific backfire of karma. The boomerang effect. Now this is the ultimate twist of our source material, and it is a profound lesson in consequences. Anshika thought her path was finally clear. Her beautiful rival was dead, she had executed her plan flawlessly, and she naturally assumed she had won. Her internal monologue was basically, now only my name will be everywhere. If anyone crosses me, they'll end up just like Rashi. But actually, scratch that, she fundamentally misunderstood the uncontrollable nature of the dark magic she had tampered with. The source text outlines a crucial, inescapable rule of the supernatural. Dark powers are loyal to absolutely no one. Once unleashed, that destructive energy doesn't just quietly dissipate, it needs to feed. The karmic boomerang effect snaps back violently. And the exact same symptoms, the sudden illness, the drastic weight loss, the rotting flesh, the insects, they began consuming Anshika shortly after Rashi's funeral. Which brings us right back full circle to the very scene we opened this explainer with. Let's walk through Anshika's final moments. Just like with her cousin, the doctors were completely helpless to stop her rapid deterioration. Anshika is left decaying alive in her bed, begging her mother for death. Then, on the night of Amavasya, at 1 a.m., the ceiling fan spins above her as a massive, dark shadow with burning red, coal-like eyes enters her room. The entity verbally declares to her that it is time to pay for her deeds. It sits on her chest, drips foul saliva onto her face, and, with one brutal, decisive motion, snaps her neck. So, I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Does the fire of revenge ultimately consume the person who ignites it? It's a pretty chilling question to ponder, right? Based on the inescapable logic of karmic retribution detailed in our source material, the answer seems to be a resounding, terrifying yes. Anshika sought to destroy another out of pure jealousy, but in lighting that fire and calling upon forces she couldn't control, she systematically burned her own life to the ground. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning the mechanics of the stories around us, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explain.